Hello everyone, my name is Polina, and me and my teammates, Fiza, Nashita, Yana, and Camila, would like to present you our game called Memorae.
As the game designer, my main responsibility was developing the core mechanics and deciding how the game actually works. In Memorae, the gameplay is built around the idea of childhood nightmares and forgotten memories. The cards represent fragments of those dreams, and the player's goal is to get rid of them and escape the nightmare with the lowest score possible. Each player has 4 cards arranged in a 2x2 grid. At the beginning of the game, 2 cards are face up and 2 are face down, which create the main challenge of the game, remembering information and dealing with uncertainty. Each turn has 2 simple phases. First is the draw phase, where the player draws 1 card from the deck. Then comes the action phase, where the player chooses what to do with the card. They can swap it with one of their cards, replace a card in their grid, or discard the drawn card if it's not useful. A key mechanic is the pairing opportunity. Whenever a card is discarded, every player checks their own grid. If they have a card with the same value, they can immediately discard it too. This makes the game more interactive, keeps everyone involved, and supports the theme of slowly clearing away pieces of the nightmare. When designing the rules, I focused on giving players meaningful decisions every turn while also making the theme feel connected to the mechanics. Players constantly balance memory, risk, and observation. They need to remember hidden card values, decide whether replacing a card is worth the risk, and watch what other players reveal. This fits the nightmare theme because players are trying to make sense of incomplete and uncertain information, like remembering parts of a dream. Special cards add more strategic depth. The sun lets you securely look at one of your hiding cards. The moon lets you look at another player's card, and the heart allows you to swap one of your cards with another player's. These effects make the game more dynamic because they give players ways to control information and dispute opponents. The game can end in 2 ways. First, a player can call Memo instead of drawing a card, which starts the final round. Everyone gets one last turn, then all cards are revealed and scores are calculated. Second, a player can win instantly by discarding all their cards through pairing. Overall, my goal as the designer was to create a game that is easy to learn, quick to play, and strategically engaging, while also making the experience feel like escaping from the fragments of childhood nightmares.
For the experience design of our game, we wanted to create a theme that supports the main mechanic of memory and hidden information. Our game takes place in a world called Memorae, which represents a fading archive of memories. In this world, players act as memory keepers who are trying to organize and preserve fragments of memories before they disappear. Each card represents a different type of memory fragment. The numbered cards represent ordinary memories, while special cards represent moments that allow players to interact with memories in different ways. For example, the Sun card allows players to recall their own hidden memories, the Moon card lets them glimpse another player's memory, and the Heart card represents emotional memories that allow players to exchange cards. By connecting the mechanics to this theme, the game feels more immersive and gives meaning to the actions players take during gameplay. As the experience designer, my focus was also on how the game feels to players as they progress through the game. We designed the experience to create a mix of curiosity, tension, and excitement. At the beginning of the game, players feel uncertain because most of their cards are hidden. This encourages them to rely on memory and observation. As the game progresses, players start to build mental maps of where certain cards are located, which creates a strategic memory challenge. The tension increases when players begin to believe they have a good set of cards and decide whether or not to call Memo. This moment creates excitement because it triggers the final round for all players. Finally, when all cards are revealed during scoring, players experience surprise and satisfaction as they see whether their memory and strategy were successful. Another important part of experience design is making sure the game is easy for new players to learn. For the onboarding experience, we kept the structure simple so players can understand the game quickly. Each player only has a 2x2 grid of 4 cards, which keeps the information manageable and allows players to focus on remembering card positions. The special cards are also designed to be intuitive and easy to understand, with each one having a clear action that helps players interact with the hidden cards. Because of this simplicity, most players are able to understand the basic mechanics within the first round, which allows the game to flow smoothly and keeps players engaged from the start.
So, my role in this project was a visual and component design. My main responsibility was creating the visual identity of the game and making sure that the graphics will support the gameplay. First of all, I focused on developing a clear and visual style of the game. The game uses a clean and minimal graphic design so that players can easily read the cards during the gameplay. I chose for Memorae soft and warm color palette to create a dreamlike atmosphere that matches the theme of the game. And as my classmates already told you, the theme of the game was about kids' dreams and nightmares. At the same time, the colors have enough contrast to ensure a good readability. So the main physical component of the game is a 54 card deck. When designing the card layout, I focused on clarity and readability. The numbers are large and easy to see from across the table, and the iconography is simple so players can immediately understand the card type. But for the special type, in my opinion, it's easier if the instructions are written on the cards as well as the points, the number of the points you get in the end of the game. Because even like if the game is based on memory and everything, for a better gameplay and for a better understanding of the special cards, I think it's better if they're reading on the special Finally, cards. Talking about the visual design. The visual design supports the gameplay mechanics, and each player arranges their cards in a 2x2 grid, which creates a special structure that supports the memory aspect of the game. And the icon system also helps players quickly identify special card effects without needing to read long instructions, even though, as I told in the previous slide, I think it's better for a special card to have the instructions written on them.
As the UX and rules and usability lead, my main responsibility was making sure that players can easily understand how to play the game. Even if a game has interesting mechanics, it won't work well if the rules are confusing or difficult to follow. To improve usability, I focused on organizing the rule structure in a way that players can quickly understand the flow of the game. I structured the gameplay into clear phases, such as the draw phase, the action phase, the preparing opportunity, and the end of the turn. Breaking the turn into steps, making the gameplay sequence easier to follow and reduces the chances of players missing important actions. I also simplified the wording of the rules to make them more direct and easier to read. In earlier drafts, some explanations were repeated in different sections, especially when describing the special cards. I helped recognize the rules so each mechanic is explained clearly once, which improves readability and reduces confusion. Another part was ensuring consistency in terminology throughout the rulebook. Using consistent terms, I think, helps players quickly understand what actions they can take and how the mechanics work during gameplay. During playtesting, I focused on observing how players interacted with the rules and identifying moments which they hesitated or became confused. Watching real players try the game helped us understand which parts of the rule system needed improvement. One of the main areas of confusion was the pairing mechanic, and some players were unsure when they were allowed to discard matching cards, especially since other players can also discard a matching card even when it's not their turn. To address this, I clarified the rule wording and made the pairing condition more explicit. Another issue that appeared during the playtesting was related to the Joker cards. Some players initially assumed that Joker cards could be paired with each other, so I added a clearer rule stating that Joker cards cannot be paired and can be removed through swapping. I also simplified the explanations for the special cards, Sun, Moon, and Heart, so players can quickly understand what each card does without needing to reread the rules. Finally, I proposed the idea of a quick reference guide that summarizes the turn structure and special card effects. This helps player remember the flow of the game during gameplay without constantly referring back to the rulebook. Overall, my role focused on making the game easier to learn, easier to teach, and smoother to play.
Today I'm going to tell you about my role in this project. My role was producer and playtest and documentation lead. I was responsible for helping coordinate the project and making sure the development process stayed organized. I also helped the team keep track of deadlines and supported the overall development of the game. One of my main responsibilities was organizing playtesting sessions. During playtestings, players tried our game Memorae. My role was to observe how players interact with the game and collect feedback. This helped us understand whether the rules were clear and if the gameplay was really enjoyable. Another part of my role was tracking the development of the prototype. During the project, we created several versions of the game. For example, the first version included the basic rules, while later versions added special cards and improved the scoring system. Playtesting helped us improve the game. Based on the feedback we received, some rules were clarified and the gameplay became more balanced. My role was also to document these changes and prepare the materials for the final submission. Thank you. We hope you are gonna enjoy our game.